Hi, I'm Dani. I'm a graphic artist and a photographer here in the local Tacoma Lakewood area. I predominantly work in the music scene. I love to do concert photography and album covers. Anything that I can apply my art towards the music is perfect for me. However, I can do pretty much anything I put my mind to and have done so. I have done everything from portrait photography to wedding photography, nature photography, business cards, brochures for real estate, all kinds of stuff. So I can pretty much do whatever needs to be done. If it has to do with graphic design, I'm your girl. I've mostly done freelance right now. I was the promotions coordinator for Pierce College for the last year that I was there, which meant I was in charge of their quarterly events calendar, plus all of their event posters and everything like that. I've done freelance stuff for years. I was doing freelance stuff before I was out of school. As soon as I started getting the hang of it, I started doing posters and business cards and whatever I could, whatever anybody needed that I could do to make a little bit of extra money. I've been doing photography for as long as I can remember, and a lot of that is concert photos and event photos and things like that. But I also really, truly love to do nature and wildlife photos. Just love to capture that emotion of the animals and create that beautiful portrait of those animals. After being out of high school and in the workforce for years, I decided it was time to go back to school and get a degree. So I went to Pierce College and earned my associates in digital design. From there, I transferred to Evergreen State College, where I finished my BA with an emphasis in photography. And I kind of did a lot of entrepreneurial classes during that time too, so business, marketing. And then since I've graduated college, I've pretty much been on the freelance kick, doing my own thing. I work my day job to pay the bills while I'm building my business, but it's going pretty well. I've made a very well-known name for myself amongst my local music scene. I'm one of those rock photographers that everybody loves it when I come and shoot their show. As far as core values and what I'm looking for in whether it be a project or a career, it's pretty simple. One, creativity. I have to feel like I am allowed to be as creative as I can be. Let those creative juices take me wherever they may. Happiness. I have to enjoy what I'm doing. I will never put myself in a position where I wake up and dread going to work every day. That's a horrible feeling. I've been there. I've done that. I'm not going to do it again. Integrity. I believe in my work. It has to be something that I will stand by and I'm proud to put my name on if I'm going to produce it and release it to the public. It has to be up to my standards, and those can be pretty high. I've been told I'm a perfectionist. Also, independence. While I work great in a team, I love working with people and around people. Even in a team type situation, I always tend to fall into the leadership role. I have a naturally strong personality and people tend to just gravitate towards that and want to follow. And usually they do so happily. I've been told I'm a great leader. I'm wonderful at training people. Everybody responds well to that. But that independence is definitely needed. I need to know that I am trusted by my supervisors, my employers, my clients, whoever it may be, that they trust me to make the right decision and to follow through with that. My major influence as far as creating any type of artwork has always been music, which is why I work in the field that I do. When I'm designing anything, whether it's an event flyer or an album cover, or even if I'm just editing photos, I always have music playing. And it's because that's what drives me. It's what gets me thinking in a creative direction. Some of my just for fun artwork has actually been created by images that have popped into my head while listening to a song. I've included a few examples of my work that you guys can check out here. We'll start off today with concert photography. These are a few of the images that I've captured during live show lighting and try to capture all those amazing bright lights, capture the fun and the joy of the musicians as they're playing. So you can see in these, I love to play with the lighting. I love to capture that emotion and that raw feel that they're having, as well as got to capture the action in there as well. I've been told that I always get the shot, so that's something I am quite proud of, that people recognize in that. I've also done a few more promotional photos where the bands are posed. We also have our event posters. These are posters that I've been commissioned to do to promote the upcoming concerts or gatherings of any type at the various places that have commissioned me. I've worked with Louis G's for many, many of their posters. That's one of the major local music venues in this area, and I'm very proud to say that I was their poster girl for the last couple of years. Where you're creating these posters, not only do you want eye-catching artwork, but you want to make sure you're relaying the message. People have to see the date, time, location, and know what's going on. I've also included some of my album cover artwork that I've created for the bands over the years. These are the ones that trying to capture the feel of what kind of music you are to expect. If you were to pick up this CD in your music store, which I know not many people do, so maybe if you were to go to iTunes and you were to see this pictures there with that music, what do you think it's going to sound like? That's what I'm trying to capture with this, is I'm trying to get a visual representation of what that music is going to sound like. I've also done some logo design. These are logos that we're going to represent various different bands, as well as some businesses and things like that. And the trick with the logo design is you need it to be readable. You need people to be able to look at that and know what it's saying. But you also want it to be artistic and creative so that it's interesting to the eye and visual appealing, but it's also memorable. You want something that when people see that, without even having to read it, they know, oh, I know what that is. That's this band, or that's that brand. You know, when you see the Nike swoosh, you don't need to read Nike. You know that it's Nike's. Every logo calls for something different, depending on whether it's a business, it's a band, it's an event that wants its own special logo, because maybe it's going to be repeating every year or something along those lines. Each one has its own special, unique challenges. Some of the other designs that I have included here are kind of more of the random things, since I can do whatever. So I have some t-shirt designs for a local music festival that I had to try to find a creative way to include all of the band's logos on there. That was always fun. Some illustrations I've done for local businesses. One of the teeth is actually to help with a training process. It's going to be in one of their informational brochures. Of course, there's invitations, baby shower, wedding, programs, as well as brochures. Pretty much if it's something that you need to advertise your business, I can do it for you. And all of that, it's a matter of knowing color, typography. You want everything to come across and look the way it needs to look. I've included some of my other types of photography. So my wildlife photography, that's when I get to go out, take those pictures of the animals, try to capture their emotions, because they have them and they're highly entertaining to watch and see what's going on. I like to capture the relationships between multiple animals. Sometimes you'll see them cuddling or playing, and things like that is fun, as well as just try to compose an interesting and appealing photo. You want something that somebody might want to hang on their walls, maybe use it as a postcard, something like that. So anything that I can find to both capture the whimsy of the animals, but as well as create an appealing image. A real challenge with most of the animal photos that I have here is most of these are captive animals that are in enclosures. And one thing I definitely like to do is I try to not capture the enclosure. I don't want it to look like they're captive. I want you to, kind of wonder, like, are these animals out in the wild? Or are they in a zoo? I don't often get the chance to go out into the wild and get that close to these animals, so I use the zoos to my advantage. But oftentimes that's the real challenge, is shooting around netting and glass and bars and things like that. I also have some of my nature photography. Most of these photos were captured on a single trip to Mount Rainier. The fun part was a lot of them were captured from the back of a moving motorcycle. There were a few that were stationary. Through that whole trip, I just decided to kind of challenge myself and see what different types of techniques I could use, whether it be slow exposure to get the blurred water, or setting my aperture and stuff just right so that it's not moving because I was on the motorcycle. These are a few other photos of kind of just the random variety of things that I've shot. A lot of them were captured when I was a photography intern down at the Evergreen State College for a year. I got to go out and just capture some of the fun events that would happen, like parades and things like that, as well as do a few promotional images for various things on campus, like our medical center and some exhibits that were going on and whatnot like that. But with these, a lot of times the challenge for me is I don't like posed photos. So I'm trying to use natural lighting to the best of my ability and capture those candid moments and capture the feel of what's going on. And so thank you guys. I'm Dani Winder. Thanks for checking out my stuff, and I hope to hear from you soon.